going to call the St. John Township Board Annual Meeting, August 26, 2025 at 6:13 p.m. Sorry that we're starting a little late due to some technical difficulties with recording. If we can stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, can you do roll call?
Yes. Lisa Elder,
Present.
Mike Quigley here, Eric Stanich,
Present.
Kathy LaRue,
President.
Adam Cedia. Also joining us tonight is Steve Michalak, Fire Chief, Tom Van Fleet, Deputy Chief, and Missy Michalak, Lake Hills Board President.
Okay. We're going to start off with our fire department reports, and our first one up is going to be Lake Hills Fire Department July 2025 financial reports and their July 2025 calls and EMS reports.
Okay, financial reports are looking well. We've just taken in one of the engines that will be getting some needed maintenance done, so we'll be paying for that next month, should be coming out. Otherwise, we're looking well. We got some donations this past month. Were very nice, thank you. Otherwise, that's about it.
So you're only with this Chase Bank now. All the first financial stuff is now officially closed.
Yes.
Perfect. Looks like it balances. Okay, and then our EMS calls.
Okay, submitted the report. So far to the end of July, we're at 400 calls for the year. I just looked, we're at 457 as of right now.
Where's that compared to last year?
We're right on target. We may go, we did, I think 613 last year. We may go over this year. So we're averaging right around 50 to 60 calls a month. So, then not horrible last couple of weeks. That's good. Neighbors are being safe, everybody's being healthy, that's a good thing. Any questions on anything on the list this month? The special assignments for July were for fireworks. One was for Highland Anderson College, and the other one was mutual aid for Sheridan for their 4th of July extravaganza.
What does dispatch error mean?
So every once in a while, the dispatcher will mess up and tag us onto a call that's not ours or anyone's. It's generally like a medical call for Maryville or out that way. Doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while. So dispatch error is just something we had dispatched for, but it's not ours and we didn't proceed, but they generated a call number for it, so it has to be put into the state report for the month.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No, I do want to thank you though, and part of my report was going to be that we had the DAD walk. And so Assistant Chief Matt Akerbread came and represented Lake Hills and the walk. Since Lake Hills is the township's fire department. And, you know, he came and joined Sherville Fire Department. So thank you.
I wanted to get the truck out there, and they got the truck in for repairs sooner than I thought it was going to be. It was supposed to be another week, but it ended up, we dropped it off Friday, and I also have the 3 rookies that are in academy that are not there on Saturday, and I have 5 other employees that are in driver operator class, so it's kind of, we're stretched on the weekends. So I apologize for not getting the truck there. I appreciate Matt coming up and
Yeah, I do too.
helping me out.
Yeah,
So,
just being, like I said, he represented in Lake Hills and that was nice. So there's a picture that the photographer took, and I will be getting those on the trustee Facebook page. So he'll be on that as well.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to accept the Lake Hills Fire Department July 2025 financial reports and the July 2025 calls and EMS reports as a matter of record. We're going to move on to the trustee report. Kathy?
Yeah, the only thing I really wanted to report on tonight is just that we had the DAV walk. I appreciate partnering with DAV Chapter 17 and the town of Sherrville. They work really hard to help us do the walk. We had more sponsors than we ever did, as well as participants. So it really was a really great turnout, both, like I said, sponsorships and people that walked. So anyway, it was really good. And I think that's all I have.
Okay. Our attorney report, Adam?
I will add that in the first week of the month, that Tuesday, it was the 6th, 8th, whatever that was, the trustee and I attended a meeting of the Lake County Council where they received our capital improvement plan that was sent over, the draft that was sent over last weekend. Under statute, every local unit representative is entitled to address the council. So Kathy and I.
Is that like working at them at all?
No, but the speaker's right. The speaker's right there. So I'm not even
Okay.
good on this right now. I'll speak up if
There you go,
you
that's
need
good.
to hear me more.
Thank you.
So under statute, the trustee and a representative of a local unit is entitled to address the council. So Kathy spoke and I spoke as well, just about the situation with AGA 1461, what it does, why we were there. The council understood, they accepted our report. Not every township in the county has submitted one apparently, but what you're here to do today is to actually hold a public hearing on the capital improvement plan and approve it after the hearing. There was some debate in the past as to whether the existing public hearing requirement applied to the capital improvement plan for all townships, and I can pat myself on the back as I thought it did, and then a few weeks later, DLGF came out and said, yes, it does. So we are ahead of the ball on that, and everything's in order to go.
And as he said, pat himself on the back because there was so much confusion regarding this capital improvement plan because it's new legislation, that there are some townships that just went ahead and passed it without a public hearing. So now they have to go back and somehow, I
They
don't
have
know
to
what.
publish the 10-day notice and then re-adopt it after a public hearing.
So, and we're, like he said, we're moving forward as we should be.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
We're going to move on to the board reports. Anybody from the board have anything to say? Okay. Nothing from the board. We're going to move on to old business. An approval of our July 2022, 2025 executive session minutes. Motion.
Make a motion for approval of the July 22nd, 2025 executive session minutes.
Second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Old business, we're going to get approval of our July 2022, 2025 board meeting minutes.
Make a motion for approval for July 22nd, 2025 board meeting minutes.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. And then we're going to get an approval of our August 4th, 2025 board meeting minutes.
Make a motion for approval of August 4, 2025 board meeting minutes.
Second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 3-0. So we're going to move on to new business. We have our July 2025 financials. Kathy, anything that you want to add or?
No, not really. It's, I think the main thing is when you compare, Trust Indiana interest versus what we're getting at Centaur Bank, it's good that we do have half of our finances in Trust Indiana because we're getting a higher interest. And then the fund balance sheet, those equal for both Centaur and for Trust Indiana. So that we're good with that. And I don't think there was anything else
The interest looks nice.
with Trust Indiana.
I only see the 1% here and it's Trust Indiana. Oh, yeah, that's a good one too. Yep,
Yeah, Trust Indiana.
a little higher, much higher.
But that's it.
Okay, I'm gonna
And of
accept,
course, just as a reminder, Trust Indiana, you can take it in, take money out, put it back in, it's liquid, so.
I'm gonna accept our July 2025 financials as a matter of record. We're gonna move on to our July 2025 Township Assistance Reports.
One thing I wanted to point out, and I asked Sandra just to make a list, but you see on line 6, the total value of benefits denied to individuals applying for township assistance. That's rather high,
Yes.
right? So we had some unique cases, and Sandra, I just asked her just kind of tell you what some of those were.
So there were 3 cases that it was denied for application not complete and failure to comply. There were 2 for over income guidelines. And then there was one where the church was paid, so we didn't have to. And then one, the client ended up paying, so we didn't have to. And then there's one case, it was for the homeless family of 6. We kind of have to trick the system. That's where it has a large amount of second, where it's 2,800. But if you pay by a credit card, which we did, we can't put in asking for the assistance because it'll ask for then a voucher and then a check. And when you pay by credit card, we will never have to do, we can't do that. So we didn't actually deny that whole amount. It is actually logged in the referrals from TOPS and accounted for there in the referrals as opposed to this screen, the denials and approval screen in TOPS. So.
Does that make sense? So there's the process of when they're gonna pay, they have to generate a voucher.
so
And
approximately how much of that?
So we ended up paying, also, it was for a hotel, and you have to go by week. So the total amount for the whole month that was requested was 2,800. And we paid then 2 months, so 1,400, half of that. And it's in here twice because we have to do it on different dates. When you do it on different dates, because you do it week by week, because we can't delete the previous decision, it's gonna show up twice, because you have two dates. So that's why it said 2,800, or it's 2,800 twice, when it's actually not, it was just one time they requested it. Does that make sense?
Any questions from the board?
I do want to say, again, there was another eviction stop today, and to date, we are at 19 evictions stopped for the year. That's a lot of evictions. And again, I just, commend our staff because with where we are with the budget and that, to stop all of those evictions, it wouldn't be possible if they didn't work so hard with other agencies to get that, help get that cost down. So, but that's a lot of evictions, 19 to date. So they do a great job. in addition to the facilities tax. Yeah,
What percentage would you say that's the apartments? The evictions?
yeah,
Oh, yes, definitely.
yes,
Mostly, if not all?
yes.
Okay, I'm going to accept the July 2025 Township Assistant Report as a matter of record. We're going to move on to the approval of closing the Township Trustee Office on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025 for a special election to be held in the adjacent community center.
And we discussed this at the last meeting, there's going to be a special election, Lake Central School Corporation is looking to do a referendum. And,
That's what it's for, to raise money as the cuts coming in.
exactly, because of the Senate bill, everybody is now having to, try to figure out, and the schools are trying to figure out how, with the revenue they're going to be losing, how do they make up for that? So it's doing a referendum. So we, based on what we always do, and as Adam explained last time, because this is a public building, we do close for elections, just so that there's no question as far as who's coming and going into the office or back down or anything. So there's no question or compromise of the election.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bigger concern when you are all on the ballot, but I think it's a good idea. Kathy and I talked to them, it's a good idea, even for a special referendum.
So you would need to do a motion and this.
Make a motion for approval of closing the Township Trustee Office on Tuesday, November 4, 2025 for a special election to be held in the adjacent community center.
Second that motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Number 4, our 2026 budget.
So you've got a binder, and we're not going to go through this tonight. It's just being presented to you so that you have time to look at it before the public hearing that we will be having on, let's see, Tuesday, September 16th. We will have a study session beforehand. Right now it's stated that it would be at 6 o'clock. That if you feel comfortable enough where you don't feel you need to go over this more, then what we can do is, have the study session at 6:30. But that's just to give you an opportunity to discuss the budget and to go over everything. What I wanted to let you know, so we're just gonna go over, I'm just gonna show you what's before you, and then you have time to look through it. But the current year financial worksheet is basically just that. It shows what our appropriations, what our approval of our budgets are for this year, what is expected, what has been dispersed already from January through June, and then what is expected to be dispersed from July until December based on the budget that's already been approved. And then it shows what your taxes that should be collected in December for our second tax draw. That's what the current financial year is. It has all the budget funds, rainy day, general, township assistance, fire, fire, rec, public safety, and LOIT, and then we've got senior citizen transport, which is related to the bus that we have. And then Form 1 is that's just what the proposed budget is. That shows you all the breakdown for each fund and where the money would be dispersed to. I don't think that if you have any questions while I'm going through it, just let me know. Form 2 is just stating what our estimate of miscellaneous revenue. So revenue that we're gonna get beyond the property taxes, from the levy. And that, we have, earnings on investments or deposits, motor vehicle tax and commercial CVET, FIT tax, and even for the hall and rec, any revenue from the hall rental. Form 3 is what will, this has to, it's required for the public hearing that this form is submitted to Gateway 10 days before. It has not been submitted yet, but it will be submitted. You just have the form as it is right now, before it gets submitted. One thing I wanted to point out on that form, if you look under the general, you see where in column 4, excessive levy appeal. That's 600,000 is what is being added and requested by the DLGF for this one-time appeal to help pay for the cemetery. It's a one-time thing. We don't know if they're gonna approve it or not, but right now it has to be on the forms. And it's included in budget form 1 for the budget, as well as form 4B. And then 4B is the budget estimate, a financial statement. So when you look at it, and it's the same for all the funds, it shows total cash and revenues at the beginning, and then what our expenses are for the year, and what the estimate balance will be December 31st of 2005, line 9. And then when you go down to the revenues, it shows the levy. And this particular fund, obviously rainy day, is not supported by levy. And then it goes on to say what you were estimating the budget estimate to be, which goes back to Form 1. And then the operating balance at the end of December 31st, 2026. Remember, when you look at the balance in 2026, or at the end of every year, the operating balance in rainy day and general fund, those are unrestricted. If there's a balance and it's not earmarked for capital improvements, that's where 30% would go to roads. What I want to point out, though, is if you go to the next one, general, you'll see where on budget year 2026 revenues, line 11, property tax levy, that's very high, but again, that includes the 600,000 for the cemetery. What I wanted also to point out, which you're going to notice for each fund, line 12, property tax cap impact for 2026. So if you go back, let's go back real quick to Form 3. And if you look on Form 3, estimated civil max levy, they have that listed, and estimated fire max levy. That amount is, there's usually a 4% increase every year. That levy represents 4% increase from last year. So we got the normal levy increase like in past years. The difference is Senate SEA or House Bill 1461, which is HEA 1461 now. What has happened is, because of that bill, our property tax cap impacts have been increased, which means our budget is being decreased. So while our levy is being increased by 4%, we'll be getting less money because of this bill. Last year, our total estimate property tax cap was $7,040. This year it's $94,700. Huge, major difference. So what I did is I gave you a copy of the Form 4B so you can compare and see. So like if you go to general fund, it says line item 12, property tax cap impact 34,539 for 2026. If you look where it has the tab 2025 for Form 4B, you look at what our property tax cap impact was for 2025 budget, 2,652. So that means everything has to obviously be cut. And next year, it will increase even more, a little bit more. But what we lose this year, we will lose next year plus an additional amount based on what they're estimating. Same thing for the next year. And what I was explaining with the fire, if you look at the fire EMS, this year it's $34,824 being lost of revenue. Last year it was $444. So that is a 7,843% increase in reduction. When you look at your budget Form 1, you're going to see that if you compared what the contracts are this year compared to what I'm proposing for next year, you're going to see a little bit more. I mean, you're going to see each of them have the towns as well as Lake Hills will have a reduction in their contracts. But because there was a reserve of $26,000, I'm proposing that we use that reserve for 2026 so that they don't feel that blow as much if we didn't use the reserve. And then hopefully the legislators will get this worked out so that this is not going to, maybe there will be changes. I know both Senators Niemeyer and Durnell talked about working to get this changed. But if they can get this changed, maybe then it won't be have such a high impact in 27. Otherwise, that everyone will have to be preparing for even more reductions. But anyway, so I wanted you to be able to compare and see. So last year I looked, our total property tax cap impact from what was reduced from our budget was $7,040. And so this year, the total is $94,700. That's huge. And that's a property tax cap impact overall increase of 1,345%. And it's not only townships, this is going across every municipality. Schools, as Adam said, schools. So I don't know if you have any questions for this, for me now, but you can review this and look at this. This gives you now several weeks to take a look at it, and then like I said, we can do a study session at 6:30. You can do it at 6 just to ask questions and so on if you like. But we do need to have that public hearing before adoption. Any questions or anything?
Okay, we're going to move on to our capital improvement plan discussion.
So before you is the capital improvement plan. Terry is here to kind of go over it. Compared to the one plan that you saw last time, the only change that's been made is the other revenues, which is on the last, let me see. If you go to your, the last 3 pages, it's it's estimates of revenues. And so the first one is just what 2025 looks like. And then you have 26, what other revenues do we expect to get? And there is $10,000 and 27 is 32,000. And then for 28, we have 7,000. And that was recommended to us to do by Baker Tilly, who I have as a consultant, their accountants for municipalities, and they had us change that distribution a little bit. But otherwise, I don't know if this plan is is what helps give the picture as far as what we need to send to the road fund. According to this, we would be putting about $374 that needs to be transferred at the end of the year to the road and infrastructure fund. It is not on the budget this year. We consulted with DLGF and they said, although you've created that fund, it's not expected to be on any of the budgets in the budget for 2026. I don't know if Terry has anything to add.
You guys have any questions?
I call her the CIP expert.
No? No questions?
And, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the 2025 capital improvement plan public hearing.
One thing I want to note is that you see in your packet that we did have a notice of the public hearing. It was presented, it was sent to the newspaper as is required, one newspaper, and then we had it posted on our website as well as on the doors here in the community center and the office. And it was required 10 days ahead of time, and it was submitted and posted that way.
So you open the public hearing, call for comments 3 times, and close the public hearing.
Okay. So I'm going to open the public comments now. Any public comments? Any public comments? Last and final call
On the capital improvement.
on the capital improvement plan for 2025. No comments? I will close the capital improvement plan for 2025. I'm going to close that hearing now. And we will move on to resolution 2025-09, adopting 2025 capital improvement plan. So I need a motion.
Motion for approval for resolution 2025-09, adopting 2025 capital improvement plan.
That motion?
All in favor?
Before you move on, just to be good to clarify, the exhibit referenced, it says attached, but it was in the packet. That's the plan you're adopting, that this is referring to. Just so we have.
Thank you. So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
And then you adopted this CIP.
Yes.
It'll be uploaded into Gateway, and so we're good for this year, and that opens up where we will get our levy for 2026. Terry will upload that.
Okay, I'm going to move on to citizen input. Any citizen input? Last call, citizen input. Okay, we're going to move on to any and all other business that may come before the township board. Anybody?
I do have an additional matter that should have been in my report. We had an appeal of an assistant's decision to the county commissioners. And they have a new attorney who is running things, in my opinion, not according to statute. For example, she would, and I don't want to throw shade on anyone publicly here, but suffice it to say, we as a township are exploring options into how to address this in the future going forward. Is there anything you want to add to that, Kathy?
No, I did, I don't know how much to go into it except for we could appeal this for decision, the attorney's decision based on who represents the Board of Commissioners.
We could file a petition with the circuit court to seek judicial review. And, it's discretionary, but if they're not following statute, that's certainly grounds to seek review. So it's an option we have.
It's an option, and we did proceed with going ahead and we got the documents after review. There's still things that the client could have been denied for. I spoke with we had a conference call actually, the Township Assistant Director, the case manager working on the case, and myself with the attorney. And during the appeal hearing with the client, the attorney had stated that she felt that this was looking to have it as a one-time exception to stop the eviction, and there is a child involved. So in our conference, there were two ways to go, and so we won't appeal her decision, and based on what the attorney had said, we did process it as a one-time exception. With that being said, requiring that there's certain criteria that she must follow, and if she comes back to us again, if that's not followed, she will be denied. And in talking to the attorney who was the appeal officer, she thought this was a good approach to take. So it stopped the eviction with the mother with the child, and she knows what's expected. The attorney did make it clear it was a one-time exception.
The bigger concern I had though was, and I don't mind saying this, is this attorney insisted that if somebody incorrectly brought the appeal to us, we would have the responsibility to file it with the commissioners. And that's not what the statute says. It's not our job to file an appeal, and the appeal is supposed to be filed with the commissioner. So even if we did that, I don't think it would be a validly filed appeal. So my opinion is if you get one of those, if the trustee gets one of those, just let the applicant know where they should do it, and it's not our job to file it with the commissioners. In fact, if we do, it would be a valid.
And I believe that's been clarified with this hearing officer now. The attorney, she agreed with that as well. So.
Oh, really?
Well, she said that they will accept it directly from the client, which is what statute. When it was first requested that by this attorney that we submit it, that the client gives it to us, and then we give it to the Board of Commissioners, I said, no, absolutely not, because that's not statute. Then it states clearly it's got to go to the commissioner. So then I contacted Adam. Adam gave an email and an opinion, and I forwarded that to this attorney, and that's when she's agreed that they would take it at the Board of Commissioners office. So, do you have anything else to say?
No, I just wanted to get that out.
I do want to I have just a couple things, just so you know. If you go to our website, all of these meetings are now being posted, so anyone can go back and look. Our she's got those on there. And so you titled the beginning of the meeting St. John Township Board Annual Meeting. It should not have said annual, so I just wanted the records to show that it's just a regular meeting and not an annual meeting, which is usually January.
No harm done. Yes, that is correct.
That's all I have.
Okay, our next scheduled meeting of the Township Board is 2026 Budget Public Hearing Meeting to be held here Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 at 7 p.m. A study session is at 6 p.m. will precede the meeting.
And like I said earlier, it might change if you feel you only need 30 minutes, then we can change it to 6:30. Yeah, but that'll be posted and.
Then you have until 48 hours.
Yeah. So,
Anything else? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion for adjourn.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Motion adjourned.
you know, Sandra.